Thank you. So, the first session of this conference, 18th annual conference of the Indian Society of Cardiology, is going to begin, and our first speaker, opener speaker, is none other than Dr. Aloke Gupta. Dr. Aloke Gupta is a well-known personality, I think all over India. Aloke Gupta is at present president of UP Diabetes Association, and he has been associated with so many scientific bodies, including RSSDI. He has been chairman of RSSDI UP chapter, and he's also been associated with the Indian Society of Hypertension. Dr. Aloke Gupta is a well-known speaker in most of the conferences, and he is known for his style in which he presents the scientific fact. So welcome Dr. Aloke Kumar Gupta.
Thank you, Professor Narsingh Verma, chairperson and the panelists. And I thank the organizing committee, the scientific committee, and especially Dr. Sajid for giving me this topic. In fact, when he told me that I am giving you this topic, cuffless blood pressure monitoring, I was confused of what does he want me to speak. मैंने कहा भी क्या दे दिया मुझे, कहने आप ही को देना है और आप ही लेंगे इसको और आप ही को पढ़ाना भी है इसी के बारे में. But I am thankful that you gave me this topic because I was totally unaware where the science is going and heading. And after reading through the literature regarding this cuffless BP monitoring, I was amazed where we are heading for. So I will be talking in 15 minutes regarding what is the future of blood pressure monitoring. But before, so I am going to talk about cuffless, no cuff, but a BP instrument like this, using your finger, using your mobile, using your wristwatch. So before that, I would like to introduce to you a term known as Zeitgeist. You must have heard about Zeitgeber in chronomedicine, the time setter. Zeit means time and Geist means the spirit of the time. This is a German term, and we all have to live with the spirit of the time. If you don't learn to live with the spirit of the time, don't have the wisdom to learn the spirit of the time and adopt yourself to that wisdom, you will be outfit in that society, in that time. So the zeitgeist of the present is that we need a cuffless BP instrument. Why, I will be telling you in future coming slides. But let us talk about from where did we start the blood pressure measurement and now where we are heading for. So this is in 1773, Stephen Hales, he first measured or he showed that the blood in an animal has got pressure. He was basically a clergy, and he was very much interested in plant physiology and animal physiology. Just like Mendel, who was a padri and he did invention in genetics. So he was also not a medical man, but he introduced fine capillary tubes into the arteries of different animals, and for the first time showed that the blood column rises and falls. So there is a pressure in the blood. And then when I was a student, and still now today also, many old people, they come to me and they say कि साहब वो एज के साथ एक ब्लड प्रेशर का रिलेशन होता है ना, वो एक फार्मूला होता है, तो मेरे एज के लिए क्या ब्लड प्रेशर क्या ठीक होगा वो बताइए. जबकि हम सब जानते हैं कि अब जो ज़ायद-गायस्त है कि 20 साल से 80 साल तक सबके लिए एक ही ब्लड प्रेशर है. लेकिन ये एक फार्मूला कभी होता था कि 100 प्लस योर एज systolic blood pressure for men, 100 plus age minus 10 for female. For diastolic there was no strict formula, it was rule of thumb 60 to 80. Similarly they had chart for the pediatric population also. But now this doesn't hold true. We have moved forward. Now this is a very wonderful statement, you will just read that in 1930s John Hay, who was a British physician and a cardiologist, in a medical association lecture said, the greatest danger to a man with high blood pressure lies in its discovery, because then some fool is certain to try and reduce it. तो अब आप ये खुद सोच लें कि इनके निगाह में हम लोग क्या हैं और यहाँ क्यों बैठे हुए हैं. ये एक थिंकिंग थी अपने ज़माने की. दैट वाज हिज स्पिरिट ऑफ द टाइम. लेकिन अब वो बात नहीं है, लेकिन कभी ऐसी भी सोच थी. और पॉल डुडले वाइट इन 1937 सेड दैट हाइपरटेंशन मे बी एन इंपॉर्टेंट कंपनसेटरी मैकेनिज्म. And we all know that during ICU setting, during cerebral stroke and all that, there is compensatory mechanism. If suddenly reduce the blood pressure in ICU setting, that may be harmful. It should not be done. But he said that in general, even if you are certain that you could control it, you should not control it, because that is a compensatory mechanism. But then gradually we evolved the blood pressure management, and with the evolution, this was the gold standard and is still a gold standard, using a blood pressure instrument by putting a arterial catheter in a major artery and then taking the blood pressure and the pulse wave. But this is done in an ICU setting in certain institutions or under research projects. This is not a routine. Then came the auscultatory method, which was very popular. Still people are using it, using the Korsakoff sounds, that the first sound you hear, the systolic, when it disappears, the turbulence of blood flow is gone, it becomes laminar, the sound is gone, you take it as a diastolic and you record the blood pressure. You may use a mercury column or you may use an Android manometer. But after this, it was replaced by oscillometric method. And this is the most common BP instrument which is now in use. Since mercury instrument is now out of date, mercury is not allowed to be marketed. This is a very handy instrument, oscillometric method BP instrument measurement. And during the corona period, every household has now got a pulse oximeter, a blood pressure instrument and a glucometer. So this is the most popular method in which sorry, इसका वो कौन सा है? Pointer. ये जल नहीं रहा.
कलर जल तो रहा है सर, लेकिन
स्क्रीन पे नहीं आ रहा. Anyhow, in the oscillometric method, the turbulence and the blood flow is recorded by the computer in the instrument, and the maximum amplitude of the oscillation is recorded, and according to that maximum amplitude, depending upon an algorithm which has been fed in that instrument, which is different for different companies, and it is here where a company supersedes other one by its algorithm. How accurate that algorithm will calculate the diastolic and systolic blood pressure, because it doesn't calculate the diastolic or systolic measures, it measures the maximum amplitude and then extrapolates that maximum amplitude to diastolic or systolic blood pressure. Then volume clamping came, where distal artery is used. Here again you are using a cuff along the distal artery. The distal artery is pressed with that cuff pressure, and a light source is used which emits light, and then a photo detector unit is there which detects the reflected light which is not being absorbed by the hemoglobin, and depending upon that the blood pressure is calculated. But again here you are using and this uses the oscillometric method again, but this is used by a fingertip. Then tonometry came, where applanation method is used, in which on the radial artery a instrument is placed over which a pressure is created, and that pressure flattens the radial artery curvature. Just like now you measure the intraocular pressure by applanation method. You throw a air force and that air jet compresses the cornea, then release the cornea, and that pressure is recorded as the intraocular pressure without using a touch method. But in this method also, this is not very practical because of the right placement of the instrument. Then came the cuffless BP monitoring, for which I have been told to talk about, which is the need of the hour. Why? Because hypertension awareness to the masses during the daily life can be made if we have got a cuffless BP instrument which can be used 24 hours in a day very easily and conveniently. Because even if you are using a BPM these days, you are applying a cuff, you are putting a blood pressure instrument on the chest of the patient tied to the body, and during the sleep, whenever the air is inflated or deflated, the person gets up. His sleep is disturbed. So it doesn't give you the real picture. So that is cumbersome. Long-term hypertension control by continuous monitoring and titrating the drug dose. Just like you can compare it by SMBG and CGM device. CGM device is giving you 24-hour profile, taking blood sugar, interstitial sugar every 5 minutes, 15 minutes, as the device may be. Similarly, here it is, you can take the blood pressure regularly throughout the day. Precise hypertension evaluation and diagnosis by affording unobtrusive 24-hour BP monitoring. It should be unobtrusive. And hypotension surveillance and therapy by providing seamless continuous BP monitoring in ICU setting. In ICU setting, you don't want your patient to let go into hypotension. So if there is a continuous monitoring, you will be better able to manage that case in the ICU setting. And what led people to think about this cuffless BP monitoring system? It was these things. The things gradually became miniaturized. We had this big mobile phone of Usha, and now we have this much of mobile phone. I purchased my first desktop 1998. The highest memory was 7.5 GB, costing me 75,000 rupees. Now your mobile has got 256 GB. So this miniaturization of the computing system has led to this revolution. Wireless communication. You can communicate your watch or your BP instrument or your glucometer to your mobile phone app and keep all your recordings in that app. Efficient power consumption. Once you have charged your battery of the device, it can be used for 7 days, 8 days, 10 days. And pervasive computing. Computing is very essential. Medical computing is the backbone of all this data collection and then extrapolating an algorithm for proper calculation of the desired result. So this is some of the cuffless BP monitoring systems which I am showing you. This is of the Mysense. It is in the market. It is cuffless, pain-free, discreet, small and mobile, fast and accurate. In 10 seconds you can measure your blood pressure. How? This is how. You put the instrument on your radial artery. Within 10 seconds it will give you the reading, pulse rate, systolic, diastolic, and this can be and this can be synchronized with your mobile phone, where all the data will be saved in the mobile phone. So when you open the app of the mobile phone, you will have a whole chart of your BP recordings. So this is available. This is on the net. I have taken this picture from the net, that this is available on the net. Then Valencel unveiled its first calibration-free cuffless fingertip blood pressure monitoring in 2023 this year. This is how. This is just like pulse oximeter. You put your finger here. It uses a light source which emits light, which is absorbed by the hemoglobin, and then whatever light is not absorbed is reflected. And this absorption differs during the systolic and the diastolic period. In systole, more blood is coming, more of oxygen is absorbed. In diastole, less blood is there, less oxygen is absorbed. And by that calculation, but that is biophysics, biocomputing, which I am not trained for, but by that method they calculate the blood pressure, and that is recorded on the mobile phone. This is connected to your mobile phone. So techniques which are involved are photoplethysmography, ballistography, electrical bioimpedance. Just like you these days you have got weighing machines on which you, if you stand, it will flow a small low voltage current, and that will pass through your body and again go to the machine, and it will create, body will create a bioimpedance depending upon the water content. Muscle has got more water content, bone has got less, fat has got less. So according to that water content analysis, it analyzes your body fat, body water and all that. So that is available in all the fitness gym these days. And this is how the smartphone uses. A smartphone will use like this PPG camera, modified weighing scale. This will also record your ECG, BP, smartwatch and wristbands. These are the different, these are the different terms which are being used in measuring the cuffless BP monitoring. Pulse transit time, photoplethysmography, pulse wave analysis, ballistocardiography and seismography, accelerometer. These are different techniques which are being used by different companies for development of their instrument. These are the different watches which are available on the net. You can go and take that. So can I check my blood pressure on my phone? Yes, I have already shown you. And this device has been just cleared by in the USA. With a small clip you can record your blood pressure. But the latest data analysis says, the different review articles, that yes, it is there in the market, people are using it, but still it is not approved for clinical use, clinical research for that purpose. You can use it in your day-to-day life, but not for clinical research purposes. And this is a body known as IEE the Electrical and Electronics Engineering Institute, which has laid down various parameters on which you have to do this research. So FDA approved cuffless BP monitors. These are the things which I could search on the net, but I could not search these instruments in the market. These are two terms, cleared and approved. Cleared means FDA has cleared it that it can be used, but it is not approved for the clinical use, for clinical research purpose. तो था एक वक्त नज़रों से भाप लेते थे उनका मिजाज, और अब तो नज़रों से ही नाप लेते हैं उनका रक्तचाप. अब जब आना वो आ जाएगा, आपकी आंखों में भी कुछ फिट हो जाएगा, आप रक्तचाप नाप लेंगे. तो लिव विद द जाइटगाइस्ट एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच.